Well, guys, it is that time. It is time for me to finally bring up the 3 things of dragonflight that I don't really like. Now, if you've watched the previous videos, you know that dragonflight's pretty much been a W for me, and for most of everybody else too. But in order to not be called a shill, a Blizzard employee, and whatever else, we got to talk about the things that they could have done better. Now, this isn't just because we want to say bad things about dragonflight. This is because feedback is also important to the development of World of Warcraft. We've seen during Preach's interview with Blizzard, where he went to Blizzard HQ and talked to people in an unfiltered, mostly unfiltered interview with everybody there. And if we learned anything from that, it was that they do take the feedback that we give them, be it through YouTube videos, Twitch streams, or even Reddit comments, or threads and comments from their own forums. They look at all of this and bring it back to the team and do what they can with that information. Now, obviously, they're not able to fix every single little thing, and there is a tier of responsibility on what has to get fixed first, as opposed to other things. But we have to make sure we put the content out there for them to see in order to know what is going on out there in the world. So today we have the 3 L's of dragonflight. Now, I will say up front, it's nothing crazy, guys. Like, nothing game breaking. We're all still enjoying the game. I would say that the initial honeymoon phase is over and we're still having fun. We can't say too many bad things about the game. I'm still excited to log in every day and play the game, and that says a lot considering the last few years, quite a few years of World of Warcraft. That's been a very hard thing to do. So, first and foremost, what do we have up on the menu? First, we have our character relaxing with the pretty view. I mean, this has got to be one of the best things of the game, right? It's an absolutely stunning expansion to look at. No, I'm sorry. We're here to talk about the bad things. I'm sorry. The bad things. First, we have the creation catalyst, and it's coming a wee bit late. A lot of people are unhappy that it's not in the game yet, and I, to a point, can agree with them. It does feel like it's been a long while since we started playing Dragonflight to when we're going to be getting the creation catalyst, which is going to be next week. For those of you who are new and don't know what the creation catalyst is, it is a device where you can put in 1 piece of mythic tier gear from your mythic raids or rated PvP gear, and it will pop out a piece of your tier set of the corresponding item slot. If you put in shoulders, you'll get shoulders out, for example, and it will give you your tier bonus. If you don't know, you need your 4-piece tier bonus to be at your maximum potential for your character. It's a very important thing, and it's really like the goal that you want to reach for your gear. Now, is it late? It does feel like it. It feels like it's been a while. On my Demon Hunter, I personally only have my 2-set bonus currently. Granted, the Demon Hunter is a reroll from my main, who was a monk. Buff monks, please. I did just get my 2-piece bonus with this Volt. And in order to get the 2-piece bonus, I had to take a little bit of a loss in eye level for that. So it didn't really feel great for that to only have my 2-piece bonus at this point in the cycle. Now, I will say that a lot of this is due to some other changes that they made, such as the Mythic dungeons and the raid both releasing at the same time, which made it feel like this gap is significantly larger than it normally is. So if you remember in previous expansions, you would have your mythic dungeons come out, and then your raid would come out, and then you would get your creation catalyst, and it created this little chain of events that didn't make it seem like there was large gaps of time in between these things happening before you got to your creation catalyst. So with the mythic dungeons and the raid coming out at the same time, it made a lot of people feel like the gap was a lot larger when it really wasn't. This is a perception thing, but either way, it is our job to explain how we feel about these things. Maybe it doesn't mean that the creation catalyst needs to come earlier. It means that maybe the staggered release of Mythic and Raid was a better system than how they did it this time. Now, also, another thing to put that kind of into perspective is when the next raid is going to be. So we know there's going to be a pretty large gap of time. I think we're getting the next season, which would be the next raid. I think when I looked at the calendar, it was going to be like early May, give or take, somewhere in there, early spring. So when you put it in perspective that way, with the creation catalyst coming out at the end of January, that means you're guaranteed to have your full set bonus on your main and all of your ults by the very latest, the end of February, right? 4 weeks after that, because you'll have 4 creation catalyst procs. That means you have March, April, and then May. If the new season starts in May, you have 3 full months of playing the game where you'll have your full tier set bonus for all of your characters guaranteed, which is a lot of time, because you have to remember that from Blizzard's perspective, they don't want everybody to have their full set as early as possible, right? They have to time gate some things in order to keep people playing the game longer. Now, I will agree that time gating your gear isn't the best way of doing that. The best way to keep people playing longer is going to be making alts fun. Now, they have done that with the Creation Catalyst in the fact that all of your alts also get a charge of the Creation Catalyst when you complete the quest on your main. This is a way to keep people playing their alts longer. So they are going in that direction. And it's little steps like that along the way that will hopefully get us to our end goal. So our first L of the day, Creation Catalyst. I don't think it's a huge one, but it's definitely a thing that we should be looked at a little bit longer than some other things going on. And I think the fact that the Creation Catalyst being one of the L's of Dragonflight and it not being that serious of a thing, that says good things for Dragonflight, right? That means overall the expansion is good if we can't find really damning things against it. So, that said, we'll move on to our second part of Dragonflight. And that is going to be thundering. If you don't play Mythic Plus dungeons, you probably don't know much about thundering. But if you do play Mythic Plus dungeons, then you know how terrible this feels to play. So in Mythic Plus, there's always different affixes that are a part of the dungeon. Some of them give more health to the enemies. Some of them give them more damage. Some give them ground effects, so on and so forth. Thundering is one of the main affixes that you get after level Mythic Plus key 10. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way up to 20 plus, you will have Thundering affix on your dungeons. So what this does is enemies are going to have 5% more health, which isn't a big deal. And then while in combat, and I believe it's every 60 seconds of active combat time. So when you're out of combat, the timer stops. And when you enter combat, it starts again. Once that timer reaches 60 seconds, everybody is going to get overcharged with the power of Razagath and her Unending Storm. And what this is going to do is it's going to split an icon over the party's head. So I think 3 people get the Thundering icon and 2 people get the Wind icon. Or it could be the other way around. Maybe it's a random split. Whatever the case may be, you're going to get these icons on your head. While this is happening, you're going to have a pretty significant damage buff. I believe it's 30%, which sounds good, right? Well, it is. And if you're in a very coordinated group, you can really use that to push through the packs and get some damage going. But the problem is you have to clear your symbol with one of the opposites, right? So if you have the thunder, you need to go to the wind and vice versa. What this means is that if you're trying to pug, which, let's be honest, a lot of people are pugging, right? We've seen a huge trend in video games over the last quite a few years, and this can really be seen in Final Fantasy XIV, where a lot of people want to play the game solo, even though it's an MMO. And really, I'm one of these people. I love playing the game solo. I don't mind getting together with my friends and doing things and getting together with the guild and doing a raid and stuff like that, but I like to just go around and do my own thing. So when you're in an uncoordinated, no communication group that you're picking up from the group finder and you're trying to clear this debuff, it becomes a problem. What happens if you don't clear the debuff? Well, you get stunned for a pretty considerable amount of time. And Not only that, but you also take damage during it too. So if nobody's clearing their debuff, everybody's getting stunned, everybody's taking damage, everybody's wiping, it's a big, big problem. And the thing is, it's not fun to play. So there's a difference between a affix being hard and challenging, and then there's a difference between it being hard, challenging, and not fun to play. And that's what the Thundering debuff really is. I do think the overall concept of it is usable, and I do think that it could be reworked from ground up, and it could be turned into something that people wouldn't mind doing. But in its current form, it's just not great. It's very hard for pugs, and it's overall not fun. One of the big problems is with the tank. So everybody knows, or you should know anyway, that you don't stand on your tank pretty much ever. Well, in order to clear with your tank, you need to stand on him. What this means is you're putting yourself at risk for being in a cleave that you're not supposed to be in, right? And essentially, possibly wiping the entire group for that. And sometimes that's all it takes is one wipe to completely throw a key at those mythic levels. There's also the point that anything in the game that makes you lose control of your character, people just don't like it. Nobody likes to be feared. Nobody likes to be horrified. Nobody likes to be put to sleep. Nobody likes to be stunned or sapped by a rogue. Or that stuff is just not fun. Anything that doesn't let you control your character anymore, people generally dislike it. So to make an affix that makes you lose control of your character if not done correctly, it's obviously going to have some pretty bad appeal with the majority of the player base. Again, do I think this is a huge L? I don't think it's huge, honestly. This is a problem that you can fix by having a dedicated group of people to play with, even if it's not really your thing to do. And also, if you're just if everybody makes an effort to clear their Thundering debuff correctly, it can be passed off as not really that big of a problem. The thing is, not everybody wants to do that. It becomes a really big problem. So, moving on from there, we have our third. And this is one that really affects me because I really like doing solo PvP. And solo PvP is something that the game has never really offered you in terms of rated PvP, right? So solo shuffle was like a fun game mode they added in previously. You would do it for weekly quests sometimes, and that was it. But if you wanted to do rated, you were generally going into 2v2s and 3v3s. And there is no queuing system for 2v2s or 3v3s where you don't need to find a group. So in order to be in a rated 2v2 match, you need to actually find somebody to party with, and then you guys can queue in for a rated match as a party of 2 or a party of 3. What I was looking for was a way to queue in as a solo, right? So when I heard they were adding ranked solo play, because at the time it wasn't described that it was going to be solo shuffle, I was really excited. Maybe 1v1s or something like that, or 2v2s, but you get to queue in as a solo, right? You don't need to find a dedicated partner. I would be okay with that also. But what we ended up getting was solo shuffle. Now, when I heard that at first, I wasn't very upset because the solo shuffle game mode for me was actually kind of fun. So if you don't know, you queue in for solo shuffle, and what happens is it puts 6 people, hopefully of similar skill level, into a lobby. Usually 2 DPS and 1 healer. Or, sorry. Yeah, that's correct. 2 DPS and 1 healer per team of 3. So a total of 4 DPS and 2 healers. And what it's going to do here is it's going to randomize the teams every round for a total of 6 rounds. And then at the end, it calculates how you did, your damage dealt, your healing, your killing blows, how many rounds you won, who you won against, right? And stuff like that. And it gives you a rating based on how you did in that match. I don't mind that at all. The problem is it's not really solo. So it was kind of sold as something that it didn't come out as. The other thing is you get some really bad RNG in those things. Sometimes you just get the bad player on your team, multiple rounds in a row. And then the last thing is the queue times. If you have tried to queue as a solo shuffle player as a DPS, you know exactly what I mean here. And that is that you are waiting 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes for a solo shuffle match. if you take a look at my Twitter timeline, you can see that there's quite a few screenshots that I've posted on there where I've been sitting in queue for 20, 30, 40 minutes with an average wait time of 10 and not getting into matches. That's terrible, because not only is it bad because you have to sit there and wait in queue, and nobody obviously wants to do that, but also you can't do anything else in this time. You can't queue for dungeons. You can't queue for raid, LFR raid. You can't join a party to go farm your Dragonbane Keep, or you can't do any of that stuff. You just have to sit there and wait, or do some crafting, or go mine some nodes or something. You know what I mean? So that's a problem that needs to be addressed. How they address it? They have to add some sort of incentive for people to play the mode. Now, I'm not sure if the problem is that there's just overall not enough people queuing at all, or if the problem is that there's not enough healers. That's usually the problem, right? There could be, 10,000 people in queue, but if none of them are healers, you're never going to find a match. Maybe they need to open up solo shuffle to being 6v6 no healers. Maybe you can get queues where there's no healers, just 3 DPS versus 3 DPS. Maybe that would help solve the problem. I don't know what the solution is here, but if they want to continue with the solo shuffle rated play, they need to find a way to fix the queue times. That's up for them to do. The bad RNG is bad RNG. You can't do anything about that. Sometimes it just happens. The only thing they can do is to keep gathering information and keep making sure that their matchmaking system is getting the most equal teams as possible. And then as far as the not really being solo aspect, that's fine. I do hope we see a different system for solo queuing and rated play in the future, but I don't want to lose the solo shuffle rated in the process of that, because I do think it's a fun system there. And that's it, guys. That's my 3 L's. Hey, we've been booted back to the character creation screen. I guess I've been AFK for too long. You can take a look at my characters here. We have Jim Vaju. That was my main. That was the monk. I did start an evoker. Obviously, you can see I didn't get very far on it. And then we have our current main, which is the demon hunter. Everybody else is kind of just fluff, stuff I level in my free time. I am leveling a shaman. I don't know if I'll be able to get it to max level and ready to go before they nerf the crap out of it. But I do see how it's performing, LA Shaman, in PvP, and I do want to participate in having some fun with that. So that's another little project I'm working on there. So be on the lookout for that. Guys, I'm still collecting some PvP footage. So we're going to have a PvP video coming out soon. We do have some clips already saved, so be on the lookout for that. And what do you guys think? Did I miss something here? Is there an L to Dragonflight that I didn't cover? If you can think of anything like that, put it down in the comments, guys, and like the video and subscribe to the channel. The channel's been doing great with this content, and I really appreciate it. And that's all because of you guys coming here to watch the videos and leaving the comments and liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. You guys are being fantastic with that, and I really appreciate it, because it gives me the incentive and motivation to make more videos, and I want to continue doing that. So thank you guys. Honestly, I really appreciate it. You guys have been great. I'm going to sign off now. Adios, muchachos.